But the amount of times Jack's mugged me off in front of a guest and just gone, oh, have you seen that video? And I'm like, no. And now they probably think I'm an idiot.
Listen, Stevie, just for anybody who might be new to the Stevie White experience, that's what we call
Whatever that is.
What is that?
Just people who followed you for a long time and just thoroughly enjoy the podcast. Let's just remind everybody, because this is what fascinates me. And number one, when I first met you, the first thing that struck me is how unbelievably humble and modest you are. You're a lovely, lovely man, and I love that about you. But, like, how did a man go from training to be an optician in Norwich, were you at the time? I think
in Bristol. In Bristol, yeah.
Sorry. You were training to be an optician in Bristol. You're very close to qualifying to being the big cojones, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
The big cojones.
you then retire and you quit that job because you are rapidly becoming part of one of the most successful podcasts in the UK. Like, how did it all happen?
So I worked full-time in an optician's the whole time I did the podcast. So we started the podcast in November of 2018. So we're pushing on 3 years now. We're getting old. People are going to get bored of us soon. But I was just in Bristol, and Jack messaged me out of the blue and went, I'm thinking of doing a new podcast. Do you want to get involved? And I was thinking, and I was going, okay, what Jack normally does is starts a project and ends it after about a month. So there's no harm in giving it a go, because he'll probably bin it off soon enough.
You can have a good 4 weeks,
But it was actually he was trying to think of someone to have as a co-host, and he thought of YouTuber I'm Alex, and then he wanted someone who he just knew he could bounce off of and was just friends with, and he didn't care about the fact that the person was irrelevant. So his partner Fiona actually suggested me. She was just like, oh, what about Stevie? You guys get on loads. And he went, oh, hadn't really thought about that, but he's easy to bully, so I'll give that a go. And I agreed. We met in London for the first episode late October. Met I'm Alex for the first time, and he was wearing his brand is Internet Sensation, and I saw him at a distance and went, oh, he thinks a bit of himself. From there it just spiraled, and he's fired many a co-host since then, and I somehow stuck around. But I was the first 2 years I worked full time in an optician's in Bristol, became assistant manager. And I was studying at the same time. So there's a thing when you're in an optician's that they will pay for you to become an optician, essentially. So they pay for essentially a degree. And I got to just before my final exams. Had the opportunity with Guild, and felt like because of COVID, it kept getting pushed back. I should have qualified already, but I was about a year after already should have finished. COVID ruined that, and I was like, I can't just keep pushing back an opportunity like this, because I could lose that opportunity. So now I'm here, and this is my job, which is an absolutely crazy thing to say. I've gone from 11-hour shifts in an optician, standing up and speaking to old people all day, to sitting down and speaking to young people all day. So
he's doing all right, isn't he, Sam?
He's doing all right. I mean, what are you? I'm quite curious, actually. Obviously, you said about I'm Alex. Did you have any kind of real knowledge of like the YouTube? Obviously, Jack's been entrenched in it for a while now, but did you have any idea of like the YouTube space, if you will, like the creator world, like the gaming world? I mean, did you have any idea about any of this as well, or not?
Nothing at all. I still don't really, which is quite bad. The amount of guests we've had on where I've probably still not watched a piece of their content, because not in a mean way, or I just don't.
That's not what you're there for, though, Stevie.
No, I hate their content. No, I don't. But
it's like KSI's on this week. Oh, he sounds nice. But in reality, yeah.
Strangely, KSI was the only YouTuber I really watched growing up in like late high school, sixth form kind of years. I was watching his Welcome to Beast videos and all of that kind of stuff. But everyone else, like Chunks has been on. I still haven't watched a single video Chunks has done. But I don't watch YouTube, and I prefer guests coming in and telling me stories with me not having to fake a reaction. I want to hear about this video for the first time. But the amount of times Jack's mugged me off in front of a guest and just gone, oh, have you seen that video? And I'm like, no. And now they probably think I'm an idiot. He does no research, but it's just because I want to be natural. Everything about Happy Hour to me is natural and off the cuff. We don't script anything at all, bar Jack knowing what questions he's going to ask. But any question I ask is just comes to me in that moment, which is why they tend to be a bit weird.
I think that's a big part of it, isn't it? Like you say that lack of scripting and the fact that it is real organic. I think listeners just want to feel like they're sat in the pub with their mates, right?
Yeah. We don't want them there with us, but that they want that.
They're on another table, just looking over, thinking, "I wish I was with those guys. I wish I was there."
Just listening. You hear what they're saying? They're well fun compared to us.
That's what we tried to do with this podcast. Is me and Ian just kind of like talking about a lot about games, obviously, and what's happening in that kind of space, but just kind of like just having a good time, really. I think that's what people like to listen to. Hopefully, you guys listening now are enjoying it so far. But I mean, Steve, that's the thing as well. Is like with the podcast as well. I'm curious with Jack. Obviously, he knows the guests coming on. He knows kind of like obviously you guys book. He kind of probably books them and kind of is a big part of that process.
Yes.
Does he ever get kind of nervous about any of the guests coming on, thinking, "Well, this is a big one. Like I've got to make sure I kind of ask this, and this." And you're there going, "I have whatever happens." Does he ever get kind of nervous about these kind of things?
Yeah, I think I don't think he necessarily gets nervous about who the guest is, especially when he's had like Ricky Gervais. He's recorded with about 3 or 4 times now, so I don't think he necessarily gets nervous about the person, but he does, of course, as I would, get nervous that the episode's not that good. Imagine getting this massive guest in, just like you guys have today, and then it all just and then it being a terrible episode still. Like it's all well and good being like, oh my god, we've got this amazing guest, and then people just going, well, that was dull.
It's a lot of pressure. Especially when you've built it up and you have become so successful and popular as you are, that every week you gotta live up to the hype, right?
The amount of times we've left that studio and gone, what on earth was that? Not with guests, never with guests, but the main show, which is me, JaackMaate, and Robbie Knox. The amount, honestly, we leave and just go, that was a car crash, and then Twitter that week is just people going, that's the best episode you've ever done, and it's just like,
really?
Oh, okay, if we just do terribly, they like that. So
was there one that's been like the biggest surprise for you guys? What's the one that you kind of thought that was total bollocks, it's not going to go anywhere, and everyone was like loving it? Was there one that really stuck out?
This is without Robbie Knox. This was when we had a co-host called Duty Rhino on. We got to the studio, and the guests that day, I think, had their car broken into, so they couldn't get to the studio, and we were already there in London because we travel to London every week to do the show.
Oh, okay.
And we were there, and we were like, okay, we've got no episode. Let's just go into the studio and just chat and see what happens. I did a tweet a couple of days before that about the perfect takeaway combination, which I think is like a burger from Burger King, fries from McDonald's, gravy from KFC, and then like a McFlurry. So it's like mixing all these things together. We spoke about that for a second, and then somehow went on to meal deals. And from then, the whole meal deal meme was kind of born. And lately, it seems like meal deals are everywhere. And I don't know if Happy Hour played a big part in that. Or
the catalyst,
because that episode was almost 2 years ago, I think. So or maybe it was about 2 years ago. So I have noticed lately, everyone seems to want to talk about meal deals. We cannot confirm nor deny whether Happy Hour is the reason that meal deals are as popular as they are. But all I can say is Tesco do follow me on Twitter, so I think they believe it.